Fox 13 News at 6 starts with breaking news. Take a look at this picture. In a story that you will only see on Fox 13, this is a convicted killer. Right now, he is on the run after the Shelby County Jail released him.
Now, this was a sudden change for Anthony Green. A jury convicted him of murder, and only 38 minutes later, the jail set him free.
Fox 13's Troyce Grant joins us live downtown at 201. Troyce, Fox 13 learned that this wasn't really an issue of just bad timing. Walk us through what happened.
Yes, so Anthony Green was here in jail at 201 Pop.
Pooh Shiesty is reportedly under federal investigation for allegedly helping one of his close associates escape from prison. And not just any associate. We're talking about a convicted murderer who somehow walked free just 38 minutes after a jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. 38 minutes. A full jury delivered a guilty verdict, and less than an hour later, this man strolled out like he just paid a parking fine. Now, federal investigators believe Pooh Shiesty may have helped keep him hidden ever since. This sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it's unfolding in real life right now in Memphis. Buckle up, because this story is wild. Before breaking down how Pooh allegedly got pulled into this situation, we need to understand who this escapes inmate really is. His name is Anthony Green, known in the streets as Chowawop. And Chowawop wasn't just some random guy. He was deeply connected to the same Memphis circle as Pooh Shiesty and the broader 1017 camp. In Memphis, those ties run deep. Everybody knows everybody, and loyalty often matters more than anything else. To really understand that bond, you have to understand Memphis street culture. Unlike other cities where crews are spread out and disconnected, neighborhoods like South Memphis and Whitehaven operate as tight-knit networks. Pooh Shiesty came up in that environment, and the people he grew up with are the same ones he still rides for today. Chowawop was one of those day one homies, running together before the fame, before the Gucci Mane 1017 deal, before the money and spotlight. That's the kind of loyalty where people are willing to risk everything. This story traces back to June 2020 in Whitehaven, Memphis. On a hot summer night, a 27-year-old man named Octavius Atkins was sitting in his car at the intersection of Shelby Drive and Neely Road, minding his business. Out of nowhere, a white Mercedes SUV pulled up and gunfire erupted. Multiple shots were fired without hesitation. Atkins was killed on the spot. Another man sitting in a nearby vehicle was also struck, but survived. The message was clear. This was deliberate and violent. After the shooting, the white Mercedes vanished. Hours later, police found the same vehicle burned behind a building, clearly torched to destroy evidence. That move alone showed this wasn't random, it was calculated. Investigators believed whoever was responsible understood how police work and took steps to eliminate DNA, fingerprints, and ballistic links. After months of surveillance footage, witness interviews, and investigative work, Memphis police identified Anthony Green, aka Chowawop, as the suspect. A warrant was issued, and he was eventually arrested by Mississippi Highway Patrol during a routine traffic stop. He was charged with first-degree murder in the killing of Octavius Atkins. However, while he sat in jail awaiting trial, he was also facing a separate, much lesser charge, a theft case that would later play a key role in what happened next. Now, this part is important because this is where the system completely falls apart. Chowawop had already made bond on the theft charge while he was still locked up on the murder case. So technically, one charge was bonded out, but he was still legally supposed to be held on the far more serious first-degree murder charge. Stay with me, because this is where things go from messy to unbelievable. Fast forward to September 24th, 2025. Chowawop's murder trial finally goes to court. A jury hears everything: the surveillance footage, witness testimony, forensic evidence tied to the burned Mercedes, all of it. Prosecutors carefully laid out their case, showing how Chowawop was the shooter, how he tried to destroy evidence, and how his actions took one man's life while seriously injuring another innocent bystander who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. After deliberating, the jury comes back with their verdict: guilty. Guilty of first-degree murder. And in Tennessee, that's not a maybe, that's not negotiable, that's a mandatory life sentence. No early release, no 10 years in parole, life means life. Everyone in that courtroom expected him to be immediately taken into custody and processed for transfer to a maximum security prison. The victim's family likely felt some sense of closure after 5 long years of waiting for justice. But that's not what happened. After the guilty verdict, Choa Lop was supposed to be transported back to jail, his bonds revoked, and his status updated to reflect that he was now a convicted murderer serving a life sentence. The court clerk was supposed to immediately submit the conviction paperwork to the jail, so there was no confusion, no loopholes, no mistakes. Somewhere between that courtroom and the jail system, someone dropped the ball. And not just a little, a catastrophic mistake. When his paperwork reached 2011 Poplar, Memphis's main jail facility, the only documents on file showed that he had posted bond on the theft charge. The paperwork confirming his first-degree murder conviction hadn't been processed yet. Whether it was sitting on someone's desk, buried in a stack of cases, or lost in bureaucratic chaos, it wasn't in the system. And in jail operations, if it's not in the computer, it doesn't exist. So the jail did exactly what the system told them to do. They released him. Let that sink in. Just 38 minutes after being convicted of first-degree murder, Choa Lop walked out of jail a free man. His own attorney, Brandon Hall, confirmed this to the media, calling it a clerical error. Hall even pointed out how insane the situation was, saying the jail normally takes days to release people who've bonded out on minor charges. People sit in intake for 48 hours waiting on paperwork. But somehow, the system moved lightning fast when it came to releasing a convicted murderer. You honestly can't make this up. The Memphis Police Department realized the mistake the very next day, September 25, 2025. Once the conviction paperwork finally went through, alarms were raised immediately. A new warrant was issued for Anthony Green, charging him with first-degree murder, employing a firearm during a felony, and attempted first-degree murder for the surviving victim. But by then, it was too late. Choa Lop was gone, vanished. He had a full 24-hour head start, enough time to leave the state, find a safe house, or completely disappear off the grid. And that's exactly where this story takes another turn, because that's when whispers from the streets started pointing toward one name, Pooh Shiesty. And from here on out, things only get deeper. According to multiple sources and what investigators are allegedly examining, authorities believe Pooh Shiesty may be helping Choa Lop stay hidden. Now, I already know what some of y'all are thinking. Pooh Shiesty is locked up himself, currently serving time on federal charges tied to that Miami shooting. So how could he possibly be helping someone while sitting behind bars? That's where street loyalty comes into play. Investigators believe that even from prison, Pooh Shiesty has allegedly been pulling strings, sending money, providing resources, and connecting Choa Lop with people who can keep him protected and off the radar. And to understand how serious this is, you've got to look at how authorities think this operation is being run. First, there's the money. You can't be on the run without funds. Choa Lop would need cash for food, transportation, temporary housing, clothes to change his appearance, and even payments to people willing to stay silent. Being a fugitive is expensive, and investigators believe money has allegedly been funneled to him through indirect channels, family members, trusted associates, or mutual connections. We're talking about enough money to allow him to move freely while avoiding capture. Authorities don't believe the money is being sent directly. Instead, they suspect a structured system, small amounts moved through multiple people, possibly through cash apps, third parties, or even cryptocurrency, all designed to avoid detection. Pooh Shiesty still has access to income through music royalties, investments, and managed accounts, and investigators believe he may be directing people on the outside to move funds in ways that are difficult to trace. This kind of structuring makes it harder for law enforcement to follow the money trail, even though federal agents are actively trying. Second, there are safe houses. When someone is on the run, they can't just stay anywhere. Investigators believe Choa Lop has been placed in locations tied to loyal associates. homes where people are unlikely to cooperate with police. These could include rental properties under false names, trap houses, or residences owned by individuals far removed enough that law enforcement wouldn't immediately think to search them. Authorities believe Pooh Shiesty's network has allegedly helped coordinate these locations. Third, resources. Burner phones, transportation, fake IDs, everything needed to stay mobile and invisible. Chowawap couldn't use his own phone or vehicle without being tracked, so investigators believe he's been supplied with short-term phones, unregistered vehicles, and drivers willing to move him discreetly. Law enforcement suspect these resources are coming from people tied to Pooh Shiesty's broader network across Memphis and surrounding states. So, how do authorities believe Pooh Shiesty is involved? For one, federal inmates are heavily monitored. Phone calls are recorded, mail is screened, visits are observed. Investigators analyze patterns, code words, and repeated contacts, even if nothing is said directly. On top of that, when law enforcement tracks where Chowawap may have been seen and who's assisting him, many of those connections allegedly trace back to individuals associated with Pooh Shiesty. Financial records, phone data, and surveillance footage are all being examined. Police are also putting pressure on low-level associates, offering deals, conducting interviews, and warning people about charges like money laundering or harboring a fugitive. And in tight-knit street circles, someone always knows something. When prison time becomes a real possibility, loyalty starts to crack. Everyone knows Chowawap and Pooh Shiesty go way back. Same circles, same connections. And in that world, helping your people, no matter the risk, is part of the code. Pooh Shiesty has always spoken about loyalty in his music and interviews, about never switching on his own. Investigators now believe he may be living by that code, even if it risks adding more years to his sentence. And if authorities can prove it, this case could shift from a manhunt into a full-blown federal conspiracy investigation. But here's the reality. Helping a fugitive is a serious crime. We're talking about federal charges, conspiracy to harbor a fugitive, obstruction of justice, and possibly aiding and abetting. If investigators can prove that Pooh Shiesty has been sending money or resources to help Chowawap avoid capture, that could mean additional years added to a sentence. He's already serving a 5-year bid on federal gun charges stemming from that Miami shooting, and this situation could put even more time on the table. And it wouldn't stop with Pooh. Anyone involved, family members, friends, associates, people who provided safe houses, transportation, or financial help, could be facing serious charges as well. The feds do not play when it comes to harboring fugitives, especially someone convicted of first-degree murder. Meanwhile, Chowawap is still on the run. As of now, he hasn't been caught. Memphis police continue searching for him, putting pressure on known associates, checking locations they believe he may be hiding in. His face is likely plastered across social media, Crime Stoppers alerts, and local news broadcasts, with rewards being offered for information leading to his capture. Yet despite all of that, he's managed to stay hidden for months, and that alone tells you one thing clearly. He has help. Nobody evades law enforcement this long in today's world without a solid support system. Not with cameras everywhere, facial recognition technology, and constant surveillance. One mistake is all it takes, but he hasn't made one yet. So let's zoom out for a second, because this story is bigger than just one fugitive or one rapper. This is about a system that failed at every level. How does a man convicted of first-degree murder walk out of jail due to a paperwork error? In 2025, with all the technology, safeguards, and computerized systems in place, how does something like that even happen? A jury convicts a man of murder, and less than an hour later, he's free? That's not just shocking, that's dangerous. While Chowawap is out there, he represents a real threat. He was convicted of killing one person and seriously injuring another. What's stopping him from doing it again if he feels cornered or desperate? And what about the victim's family? After waiting 5 years for justice, they were finally told the man responsible would spend the rest of his life behind bars, only to find out he walked free. That kind of realization is devastating. It's psychological torture. They can't feel safe knowing he's still out there. Then there's the loyalty factor. In the streets, loyalty means everything. When your people need you, you don't ask questions, you show up. But where's the line? At what point does loyalty turn into complicity? If these allegations are true, Pooh Shiesty would be risking years, possibly decades of his future to protect a convicted murderer, all while already serving time himself. That's how deep the code runs. But it also raises serious questions about whether that loyalty is worth it when innocent lives are at risk. Let's not forget who the real victim here was. Octavius Atkins was 27 years old. He had his entire life ahead of him. He also wasn't the only one hurt. Another innocent man was shot and survived. These were real people with families who loved them, who are still grieving every single day. And now, because of a clerical failure and alleged assistance from others, the man convicted of taking that life is free instead of serving his sentence. That's not justice, and it's not safety for the community. But this is the reality of the streets, a world where loyalty often outweighs the law, where the code matters more than consequences. I'm not here to judge. It's just the truth of the environment that Pooh Shiesty and Choppa Wop come from and continue to operate in, even from behind bars and on the run. So where does this leave us? Right now, the investigation is ongoing. Federal agents and Memphis police are working non-stop to track down Choppa Wop and identify anyone who may have helped him. Pooh Shiesty's name continues to surface, and if authorities can build a solid case, new charges could be coming. Every prison call is being reviewed, every connection is being watched, the pressure is building, and eventually something is going to give. And when Choppa Wop is finally caught, because trust me, they will catch him, the fallout won't stop with him. Everyone who helped make his escape possible will face consequences. That's how federal cases work. They don't just want the fugitive, they want the entire network behind him. This whole situation is a reminder that truth really is stranger than fiction. A convicted murderer walks out of jail in 38 minutes, and one of Memphis's biggest rappers is allegedly helping him stay hidden from behind bars? You can't make this stuff up. Stay locked in because this story is far from over. And when the next piece drops, you already know I'll be here breaking it all down.